everyone, welcome to Julie Reads Her Bookshelf. I'm Julie. Today we have a little bit of a different video. I wanted to talk about a topic that is near and dear to my heart and it's something that came up for me in the last month of reading, and that is the practice of DNFing. So for those of you who don't know, DNF means do not or did not finish, and quite often we do start a book when we start getting through it, and for whatever reason we're just unable to get to the end of the book and we sort of give up on the book. And there are two situations where this happens. You either give up on the book because you're just not in the mood for it and you want to be able to come back to it one day in the future, or you give up on a book because you never want to come back to it and actually you hate the book and you're not going to ever read it. For me, DNF is just not something that comes up a lot in my reading. So I generally find that even for books that I don't completely like, I usually find enough in the book to keep me going. In fact, in the last 5 years, I can only really remember one instance of me DNFing a book, and that was Hard Times by Charles Dickens. It was just, for me at the time, the book seemed like quite a big commitment for something that really just was not grabbing me. But otherwise, even with books that I didn't like, I seemed to be able to get to the end, and actually the idea of giving up on a book most of the time wouldn't even occur to me. So it's with some displeasure that I find myself at the end of August, having spent the entire month struggling through a particular book and unable to get through it. And not only was I not able to get through it, it's kind of really killing the reading mood for me. And that book is The Museum of Innocence by Orhan Pamuk. So the backstory to me reading this book, and this is a library book, so it's not even a book off my bookshelf, which is the point of this channel. I thought I'd mix it up. And the backstory to me reading this book is that I'm heading off to Turkey next month, or actually this month, because this video will be going up in September. And I thought, as I usually do before I go on a trip, I would read some literature from the country that I'm going to sort of psych me up for going there and kind of put me in the mood for experiencing that culture and understanding a little bit about the history and the literature of the country that I'm visiting. Orhan Pamuk is without doubt the most famous author coming out of Turkey. He's, in fact, I think the first or the only winner of the Nobel Prize for Literature out of Turkey. And I have read one of his books before, and that's the book Istanbul. And I read it the last time I was visiting Turkey, which I absolutely love Istanbul as a city. So this time I thought I'd try a different, and I should mention, Istanbul is a work of non-fiction. So I thought I'd try a work of fiction from him. And for those who don't know, Orhan Pamuk actually created a place in Istanbul called the Museum of Innocence, where he kind of displays objects from that are related to this novel. So I thought it would be a really interesting experience to read the book and then turn up in Turkey and sort of visit the actual Museum of Innocence and get that whole immersive experience. So a little bit about the Museum of Innocence. The story is set in Istanbul in the 1970s and 1980s, and it follows the life of Kemal, who is a wealthy businessman, and he falls in love with one of his distant relations, Fusan, who works in kind of a shop in the area that he lives in, and he becomes obsessed with her at a time when he was already engaged to another woman. And he has this kind of internal conflict about whether he goes and breaks off the engagement or whether he tries to keep Fusan as kind of a mistress. And as the novel progresses, Kemal's obsession with Fusan becomes all-consuming. He eventually does break off the engagement, but Fusan has already married to someone else by that point. So the novel then follows kind of his life as he continues to harbor kind of feelings for Fusan and continues to try and keep her in his life, but also try to control her with his money. And he also develops this weird kleptomania thing where he kind of goes to her house and he takes things of hers and then like takes it home with him as like an object, almost like a little trophy, to try and possess her in circumstances where she's married to someone else and he's unable to kind of get the girl of his dreams. And the novel is, you can sort of tell where Pamuk is going with this book. The novel is really trying to kind of show the depth of obsession, obsessive love. It's also very much a novel of a place and time. So you really get a sense of what Istanbul was like in the 1970s through to the 1980s. And so that is all very well, except for the fact that I absolutely hate this book. I hate every character in it. All of the characters are really, really, really annoying. It's impossible to connect with Kemal and Fusen as a couple, if we can even call them that, because the way they fall in love is not particularly believable. I don't really see what she sees in him. And what he sees in her seems to be just her beauty and the fact that he thinks he can control her with money. Not a single character in the book is likable, and generally I don't mind unlikable characters, but I always need something to actually be able to connect with them, and I just can't seem to do that here. And quite apart from all of that, this is also an incredibly long book, and there are variations of the same theme that gets trotted out over and over and over again until it just feels quite repetitive. I'm actually about 2/3 of the way through this book, so I'm kind of dealing with the situation where there's a lot of sunk cost in me giving up on it now. And I know sunk cost is kind of a fallacy, and if you don't enjoy something, you should just stop reading it, because my time is precious. But at the same time, I'm almost kind of holding a grudge against the book and determined to fight it to the end. So I thought I would bring it up here on BookTube just to kind of get a sense from what you guys about what you think. Do you DNF books? Do you DNF them with a view to coming back to them, or do you DNF them to never return to the book ever again? And what do you think about Orhan Pamuk? Because I didn't hate Istanbul. I liked it, but I didn't love it. I hate this book. that much is clear. But I've also heard really great things from people whose literary taste I really trust about My Name is Red, and I just wonder whether it's worthwhile me keeping a spot in the future for future Julie to return to Orhan Pamuk, or whether this is really what I'm going to be getting if I tried another book by him. So let me know what you think of this author, what you think of DNFing books, and also let me know if you have any recommendations for Turkish literature but beyond this particular author, because I would really like to read a bit more about this country, and I'm looking forward to my holiday there. So let me know, and I will see you next time.